All right, it is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. It's 7:22 a.m. And this is again, you're remembering all of the body of evidence as I continuously document a criminal system that I remain subject to on a 24-hour basis. And so this demonic environment, because that's what this is impossible light that's stretching into the depths of my bedroom, across the floor, through closed blinds, and this is again, the entity is maintaining the light source as though the sun is going to be over an address for 11 hours, 11 to 12 hours in the day. That's not the natural environment. And also, that's not sunlight. That the entity is cycling nothing other than engineered light. And this is also a threat to your safety, your well being. It's a threat to your life while the entity that is monitoring you and stalking in helicopter, just like you saw the Los Angeles Police Department engaging in at 12:10 a.m. today. And again, as I documented during the, let me see, I documented at 1:50 a.m. while their group stalking flying over repeatedly in that video. And you're remembering the specific environment, and this is the specific environment. This is during the day. This is that same impossible light activity. This is the demonic environment, and it's speaking to the demon possession of the LAPD, who are engaging in what is group stalking, which is a criminal monitoring system. It is necessarily accomplished with the people of the state in the specific environment, which they're maintaining inside of my private space. This is not sunlight, and that's not possibly the sun. This is a demonic environment. So this is acquainting what is a criminal act perpetrated by a government while the demonic is employed. The demonic is key. The demonic is in the behavior. The demonic is in the environment. And this is speaking to what's going to be a prosecution for terrorism, while a government places you under surveillance and employs satanic or demonic methods to do so. That's also speaking to the malice of that criminal act, while a government seeks to target you and place you under surveillance and do so in ways in which it is already it's reasonably foreseeable that the entity engages in such a criminal act with such high malice for the purpose of engaging in something that the ordinary person wouldn't even be able to describe. Okay, or that which you, again, assuming that it's not even capable of being proven in a court of law. All of these, again, are the false pretenses that a government, a malicious actor such as a public entity, is literally deliberating when they're engaged in group stalking. And that's also the grounds of federal prison at federal prosecution, both for the people and for the state. And so this is what you are mindful of when you are looking at the entity group stalking in helicopter, because that's what group stalking is, where you have the engineered light, where you have the entity maintaining the light source for 11 hours in the day. You are looking at what is stalking, as opposed to what a demon wants you to think. Oh, that's just a police department that's engaging in what their ordinary jobs. You're just flying around. No, that doesn't exist. Literally, it does not exist. You're looking at stalking, and it's heavy duty stalking. And it's also not only it's stalking that's not just occurring while you happen to see them in my immediate sky space. They're engaged in 24-hour surveillance, and they are a demon possessed entity that is acting directly. This is assigning that public entity its legal role in its federal prosecution. And you're understanding how the state is also surrounding the reason for the maintenance of this environment. Not only is it the direct evidence, and it is obvious, it's very clear evidence. It's evidence that the entity cannot surround you with the environment without your being aware of it. It's putting it right in your face. And this is a very obvious admission. And just as, again, the entity is providing an ongoing admission, and if you are aware of the effect in court of an admission, it is literally, did you rob the bank? And the admission is, yes, I robbed the bank. Prosecution complete, period. This is literally the admission by the entity on an ongoing basis. In addition to the body of evidence that is already speaking to, you don't even need the admission, but understand the environment is an admission. There is no defense. There is no ability to make appropriate or legitimate what the entity has engaged in a pattern of. It's beyond a coincidence. It's impossible for it to be a coincidence that in the specific environment, which is captured in a totally distinct region, where there would never be, the two could not coexist at the same time, nor would the two ever. It's mutually exclusive. It's either one or the other. But even in the other, when I'm referencing the Inland Empire and the specific environment that I was surrounded by, when I am documenting the pattern of conduct in Fontana at the Fontana Chamber of Commerce, it's not possibly the sun that is over at the same time over the roof of the Upland Public Library. This is not how the natural environment works. The sun is not such that it is remaining in its zenith, hovering over the earth in some position or some fashion, whereby everybody is looking at that star or that gaseous ball of fire from the same angle. The sun is at a certain point in the day, is actually, just to break this down for you, the sun is at a certain point in the day going to be at its zenith. All right, observed in its zenith. And that's even at a specific ecological address. What the entity is doing is in direct contravention of nature and the behavior of the environment. So it's keeping the light source in its zenith over me all day long. That's not how the environment works. That's not how the sun, and you can Google that, okay? It's in constant movement, and also, and these are things that you're just not paying attention to, and that's why you could FaceTime somebody that's in Louisiana while I remain here in Los Angeles, literally inside of my apartment. We can be very specific with the skyspace. We'll even face out of this window facing the hillside, and somebody in Louisiana can FaceTime, and they put their camera up to the sky, and they're looking at the sun that's over their head. That's not the same light source. We're not looking at the same thing. And that's clearly, that's evident in your face. You just have not been paying attention to it. And what they're looking at above them is not creating any light activity inside of my apartment. And even when you isolate the universe and take out of the equation somebody in Louisiana who will tell you, yeah, I'm looking at the sun that's right above my head. And oh yeah, actually, I do see that sun from the beginning to the end of the day, speaking to that which is impossible and unnatural. The entity is providing an admission, while even being here in Los Angeles, in California, in Southern California, but even down, it's very specific. It's down, I'm at Alvarado Gardens, and at the physical property, from the beginning till the end of the day, that is never going to be the natural environment. That is an admission of the non-movement, the stagnation of the gaseous ball of fire, which is the sun, which is in constant movement. I want to be clear, not rising on the east side of Alvarado Gardens and setting on the west side of Alvarado Gardens. That's the P.O.C. In other words, very specific, rising on the east side of the targeted individual and setting on the west side of the targeted individual. That's the P.O.C. And it is a very blatant admission. And while they're engaging in an ongoing admission, which has a very direct and effective result in court, I want to be clear, this is just showing you what is literally unscientific, but you can have a scientific expert go on the stand, and it's going to be confirmed that none of this is in conformity to the operation of nature. And this is also why a government does not want to be surrounded by the evidence of, or the existence of, the pattern of conduct, because it's not difficult to prove at all. It's a demonic system, and this demonic system is underway by a government who you see on an ongoing, not just last night, not just while I've been in Los Angeles, which is establishing, again, the target individual has already surpassed presenting a prima facie case. They don't have to document for months and months and months and be subject to an ongoing threat of their life before they have enough evidence to initiate a federal investigation. That's not what this is. I am establishing precedent. I am showing through my ongoing evidence what is impossible to maintain the consistency that I have. In other words, it's beyond a coincidence. It's impossible that I will be able to capture that. It's impossible while I go to what is now Los Angeles County, and I still seem to have this uncanny ability to capture not only that which is unnatural, the environment around me, but you have what is the ongoing behavior in that phenomenon, in that environment. Those are things that are beyond my control. It is a specific pattern of conduct, and it is occurring while you are remembering what you're looking at in the middle of the night. That is the engineered light that's inside of my apartment at nightfall. That is what is unmistakable, and the ability to clearly identify stalking in this environment. And that's exactly what the entity is doing in helicopter. Contrary to what they believe, they think that they can fly around a helicopter, and because they're in a helicopter, because they're in the sky space, and because you're looking at a whole vast amount of people, that you're not going to be able to pinpoint the fact that they're stalking you. And all of that's a false notion. It's literally unintelligent. And it is, in other words, a public entity that is woefully unprepared to be identified as the demonic entity that it is, clearly identified in that specific environment, engaging in a pattern of stalking in that environment. And this has been documented systematically in the same way that they've been stalking systematically. So this is the prosecution for malice, and this is also documenting what is the impermissible threat. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 7:32 a.m.